Are you thinking about investing into ball pythons, but you're unsure whether you want to start with baby snakes or adult snakes? In this video, we will discuss the pros and cons of each option to help you make an informed decision. One of the major advantages to buying baby snakes first, guys, is that you know exactly what you're getting. You are basically the one that's going to determine how that snake is raised and how well it is cared for. And you'll know everything about that snake as far as its entire life up to the point to where you're going to breed it. So this is definitely a major advantage when it comes to buying your baby snakes first. Now, the major advantage to buying your adult snake first is that most of the time they are ready to breed right away. If you have a nice collection of adult female ball pythons, you can go right out there and buy an adult male and plug it in right away and make a quick return on your investment. And the same goes for females. If you're able to get a bunch of breeder females or very large females, you could start breeding them right away as long as they haven't already bred and laid eggs in the past 6 months or so. But this is definitely a major advantage, and I think this is what a lot of people think of when they determine that they want to start with adult ball pythons rather than baby ones. Now, personally, guys, I think this is the biggest advantage to buying a baby snake versus an adult snake. Let's say that you guys want to get something really rare and really a good investment quality animal. You're going to have a higher chance of pulling this off when you look for a baby snake rather than getting an adult snake. Now, take for instance something like my boy Gotti. He is an Orange Dream, Yellow Belly, Enchi, Leopard, Sunset. The chances of you finding an adult male like this are pretty slim. I paid about $3,000 for this boy. If he was an adult male or even a proven breeder male, he's looking at a value of about $6,000 to $7,000. So that price difference is quite substantial, guys. Now, let's say you do buy something like Gotti and down the road you actually don't even end up breeding it. The advantage to doing this is that let's say you babysitted that snake for, a year, 2 years, whatever the case may be. Now you could actually sell it for more than what you paid for it, and you could take that money and reinvest it into something that you really want to do now that you've decided that this project maybe wasn't the right one for you. So that's definitely a major, major advantage, and one of the main reasons why I prefer to buy snakes as babies rather than adults. Now, there's really no disadvantages to buying adult male snakes, guys, and there's a few reasons for this. One of the reasons for this is because, unlike the females, the adult males are not going to be retaining sperm if they were paired to something. Also, if you have a nice collection of big breeder females and you want to just go out there and buy a sick adult male snake, you could do that as well and plug them right in immediately, which is awesome. And also, guys, you definitely have a higher chance of finding a pretty rare adult male snake. Now, the price still might be up there, but you definitely have a higher chance of finding a rarer adult male snake than you do a rarer female snake. Another major advantage to buying baby snakes is you get that longevity part. When you buy a hatchling ball python or something that's about 200, 300 grams, you're getting that snake for its entire life pretty much. If you buy something that's an adult, that's already established, maybe 5 or 6 years old, you really don't know how much more time you have with it. Yes, ball pythons live a pretty long time, but you also don't know what that snake's care was like and how much went into the development of that snake. You don't know if it has any underlying health issues. And this could be the case with babies as well. Sometimes, they get sick and things like that happen. But that longevity factor is something that is a really big advantage when it comes to buying baby snakes first. Another advantage to buying adult snakes is typically they are easier to get going on food than baby snakes are. Sometimes baby snakes can be super picky, you guys, and if your habitat that you have them set up in is not exactly what they want, they can definitely give you some challenges when it comes to feeding. But typically when you're buying an adult snake that's well established like this girl, they'll eat right away for you, and usually the person who had them before had them on a pretty consistent diet. They'll let you know what they were feeding it, so that way you can offer the correct food to your snake right away. And typically, the adult snakes will eat much more readily than, say, a baby snake will, depending on different factors. But this is definitely a major advantage to getting your adult snake first. Now, the last advantage to buying a baby snake is that when you buy a baby snake, like a female, you've got about 2 years before that snake's going to be able to breed. This gives you time to really figure out what genes you want to put into that snake and what direction you want to take the project into. Now, a major advantage to buying adult snakes from a pet standpoint is usually the adult snakes are super chill and they're very calm compared to babies for the most part. Now, overall, ball pythons are pretty calm, they're pretty docile, and if they are a little bit feisty, they're really easy to tame down. For example, my girl Ferrari right here was a little devil. She was trying to bite me any chance she got as a baby, and she lit me up a few times, guys, real bad. And she also embarrassed me in front of some of my friends because I took her out to show them one time. And they're like, "Oh, does the snake bite?" And I was like, "No, of course not." And what does she do? She rails my hand with a bite, and I'm bleeding everywhere. And yeah, she basically proved that I was a liar and that they do bite. But this is definitely an advantage to buying adult snakes, is that usually they're pretty chill compared to baby ones. Let's talk about the disadvantages to buying baby snakes. Now, the most obvious disadvantage is that your snake is not going to be ready to breed right away. If you get a male, you're typically looking at about 6 months to a year old before that snake is sexually mature and reaches its breeding size. And with a female, you're typically waiting even longer, about 2 to 3 years before that snake is ready to breed and reaches sexual maturity. Now, probably the most concerning disadvantage when it comes to adult snakes is that sometimes when you buy adult snakes, specifically females, you really don't know what you're getting, guys. You haven't known that snake its whole life. Only the person that was caring for it or breeding it has known it for its whole life. Also, unless you ask, you really don't know the track history of what the snake has been bred to. If it's not a proven breeder female, it could be a female they've listed for sale that has indeed bred with a male in the past, but may have not produced a viable clutch or produced eggs at all. And if this is the case, sometimes that female could actually retain sperm from that past male, and when you go to breed it and successfully get eggs, you may be surprised on the day that those eggs hatch out and you see baby snakes that are not matching the genetics that were paired by you. So it's mainly when it comes to the breeder females, and I feel like this is kind of the most concerning disadvantage when it comes to buying adult snakes. One of the other disadvantages to buying baby snakes is that their temperament can be a little bit feisty. Baby snakes are typically afraid of everything, you guys, and I can't say that I really blame them, because I would feel some type of way too if a giant human being came and picked me up and I'm small and can be eaten by a plethora of predators out in the wild. So sometimes the temperament on baby snakes can be a little bit more chaotic and feisty than, let's say, an adult snake. So this is definitely more of a disadvantage if you're thinking about just buying a pet ball python. Now, one of the disadvantages to buying adult snakes first is that it's much harder to find extremely rare snakes. And if you do find an extremely rare adult for sale, you're going to be paying loads of money to get it. Let me tell you guys that. Take, for instance, my girl Nova here. Now, I bought the snake as a baby, and she is a subadult now. But when I first bought her, I paid over $5,000 for this girl as a hatchling. Now that she's almost ready to breed, she is probably worth double that. So it's really, really expensive and pricey to try to buy really rare adult snakes and investment quality snakes. And I find this to be a little bit of a disadvantage because it's going to make it harder for you guys to level up your collection faster and to really produce rare and investment quality animals for both you to sell and for yourself to keep back. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about starting off with adult snakes first. The final disadvantage to buying baby snakes first is that Sometimes the baby snakes can be more picky about feeding than adult snakes will be. Typically, if you're buying an adult snake, it's usually well established and it's usually on a pretty consistent feeding schedule, and they're a lot easier to get going than baby snakes are. For instance, my girl Ice Spice that I produced last year was definitely a challenge to get going on food. She's finally eating well and consistently, guys, but she should be a lot bigger than what she is now. And that's just the part that you play when it comes to ball pythons. You got to adapt to what they want, and you got to give them the food that they want in order to get them going. But this can be kind of a disadvantage to buying baby snakes. But let me tell you, once you get them eating consistently, they start to grow like weeds. That's going to wrap it up for today's episode. I hope this information helps out you guys if you're thinking about investing into ball pythons and you're unsure if you want to start with an adult snake or a baby snake. There's definitely pros and cons to both of them, and I'll tell you what, I definitely don't regret starting with baby snakes. I think this gives you a lot more advantages than disadvantages, but it's totally up to you and what your goals are, you guys. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, smash that like button for me. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought of my opinion and what I think are disadvantages and advantages to both sides. Also, smash that subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel already. Also, do me a favor and smash the notification bell. You don't want to miss any content that we've got coming out for you guys. Big shout out to the Recessive Gang, Darius, AJ, and Dre. Keep doing your thing, you guys. Big shout out to all our supporters and viewers out there. We appreciate you so much. I will talk with everyone very soon. Peace.